Good evening, and welcome to the Dusty Feet. It's September 8th. I was just checking some things. I don't troll normally, and I'm just looking for some information. And I came across this is a day today. The Queen of England died today. God save the Queen. God save the Queen. So, tonight, we're going to do something a little different. Um, our random connected thoughts. I have a random connected thought that I like to talk about. And hopefully it will be a benefit, something fun for me, certainly fun for me to put together, so we can chat about it. But don't forget, in the description below are links to all of the audio, video, and source documents we use here on the Dusty Feet. Want to make sure that any material we use here is properly credited to those folks who work so hard to bring it to us. Without their efforts, learning we do here does not happen. So please be sure to click to subscribe. Click that bell icon if you want a reminder. And as always on the Dusty Feet, this is a place where we can safely explore the endless ways of God, interconnection of His creation, where belief understandings may be challenged, divine misunderstandings may exist, and traditional teachings might falter as we pursue connection, context, and community with God and each other here in an environment of grace and love. So here we go with some more random connected thoughts on the Dusty Feet. So I was listening to the next Matthew series video, An Open-Minded Faith, and we will get to it. Uh, but Tim mentioned stained glass, and my normal ADHD mind took off. And this is what came to the front since I enjoyed the stained glass analogy. I'll pop you a clip real quick so you can take a listen and just hear what hit me.
Each of these Sundays, mostly these have been stories about people getting healed by Jesus physically, although sometimes it's just some kind of spiritual transformation that they undergo. And every one of these has given us some new angle on who Jesus is, some new facet of his personality or of his identity. And it's like a mosaic, or think of like a stained glass window. Every story is contributing a piece that gives a new color, right? A new hue of who Jesus is and makes up this robust.
And who Jesus is and the vibrancy of what we're talking about. So this spurred my mind to think not only of the mosaic of Jesus, but really the mosaic of ourselves and others. So one of my personal thoughts on stained glass is that each mosaic masterpiece is made up of pieces that are a broken part of another piece. That piece, that sliver of glass, belonged at one time to a bigger part. You know, I like the tapestry analogy. Remember, like I like to say, we're a color of string, a piece of string. And I thought that that length could be equated to our time, as in what time we have been given. Some a very long piece of string, others a single breath. But I think I want to explore this stained glass analogy thought. This was fun. So let's pop into something. We're going to have a little different look here. So we're going to change to the pit. Here we are. So this thought of mine on stained glass, I kind of want to take a different twist. It'll take a bit of stretching, but let's see. Okay. We are created as a piece of colored glass. On our own, we're a beautiful piece of glass because God created us that way. With many different people, there are many different colors indeed, right? And depth of tone, varied vibrancy, design texture. Okay, with that, so now maybe we can have some fun with this, okay? So can we just be ourselves? Not help anyone else, be isolated, unconnected, be a single piece of glass. It's a challenging thought. Um, yes, the glass is beautiful, but could there be more? More than maybe just ourselves. So we engage in life. We connect with people. we try to connect with God. And in those two processes, we're broken. We're no longer that single piece of glass. So we have a choice. We could try and spend our lives putting our pieces back together, um, trying to be what we at least thought we were, or maybe what we should be. But what if there was more? What if we're living life with two thoughts? Like we mentioned before, engaging with life, engaging with people, and with God. Okay. Um, so God is, for the sake of this fun analogy, building you back up. But instead of just you, He's incorporating all of the lives you've touched, or been touched by, or been a part of. They too have been broken into parts, right? And yet, it is in the collection of these broken pieces that we can create a stained glass mosaic. These pieces, in the right hands, can be a masterpiece. They're so varied, oddly shaped, probably as unique as we all really are. Um, they are so varied. And they're so varied, maybe, that we can't see the worth in them. Of what use are they, so many of these broken bits? Yet these mosaic masterpieces are very much made up of these broken bits. Okay, so here's maybe where we can begin to develop this analogy. There are multiple stained glass masterpieces. They're going on everywhere, every life, if it chooses to be a mosaic. Okay, they don't have to be a single piece of broken glass. Trying ourselves to fix it. God knows these broken bits, each and every one. So here's a challenge. When looking sometimes at these broken pieces, we don't see the mosaic in those broken bits. We don't see where they go or how they can be used. So God is wanting to be involved in making yours, your design, your mosaic. That when the light shines through, your story might be told. Um, each piece carefully planned, framed by the master artisan. Each section is molded and shaped, ready for color, hue, texture that is needed to be part of this greater picture. That each section is hand shaped with the care and wisdom of the maker. Now, we can make our own stained glass, this mosaic on our own, right? Many folks do, but they miss the opportunity of the guidance of God as to what that window maybe could look like. So we can create on our own. We can certainly steal from others to get our glass pieces, go around grabbing what we can, not sure what we have in mind, but those pieces can be part of us. Disjointed, scattered, connected, disconnected. Broken bits of lives that we surround ourselves with, or come in contact with, or have an impact on. We don't see the connection sometimes. That part taken, but God does. He knows who you have an impact on, no matter how minor that may seem to us, to you. That's a rather interesting thought that we can be part of somebody else's mosaic and not even really know that we are. Now, that's still very self focused, right? Only our picture, our mosaic. But if we begin to think outside of ourselves, then the possibility arises of a different thought. Sharing pieces, becoming connected. We are but one color, so we might want more colors to be part of a beautiful stained glass pictured window. So we connect with a few people, and a beautiful mosaic can be created. Simple, but still beautiful. Varied colors, a few, but pieced together, it's a beautiful mix of hue and tone and texture. It's a beautiful picture. So maybe I want to stretch this a bit more and maybe flip the thought some more and become a giver of pieces. Okay. Where we decide both that we want to be part of the community and part of other people's lives. And actually, we can give out pieces. Share your life. Share our lives. Be involved in life. Be part of community. Handing out pieces. Being an impact on other people. And that impact gives them another piece, another color, another hue, another texture. To switch our focus from our own mosaic to helping other people's mosaics, their stained glass pictures. And not by telling them how to do theirs or how to build theirs, just to be a part of theirs. This beautiful stained glass work of art, right, is probably a good example of what mine might probably not look like, right? I'm not a big flowery pattern kind of person, but this person very much is. The variance of colors, the mirrored image patterns, the balance and the symmetry is beautiful. And for the sake of this analogy, I'm that broken blue glass. And if you look, you might see a little blue in that picture. Having been a part or an influence, knowingly or unknowingly, I'm part of their picture. My prayer in this is that I'll be a positive part of their life design. Maybe there's a possible, even bigger thought that even giving out pieces to others to expand our horizon. How about deciding to be a part of a bigger picture? To have the mindset, right, of not just a mosaic um, in and of ourselves, but to be part of a bigger, more grand mosaic. To surrender our pieces, be part of something greater. I might even have so much fun with this as to bring in a miracle into the picture, so to speak. Um, Maybe we think that if we give out too much, that we give away too many pieces, there might not be enough for at least our picture to come together, right? So more stretching. Let's call giving out the pieces of ourselves as one might view as love. And of love, there is no short supply. That's the miracle of love. My friend Kyle Barfield reminded me of this well last night in our men's group there at the Vine, right? Um, and we were talking about being involved in our wives' lives and in the and in the greater community. In that context, we were talking about the families at the Vine. We're bringing this up, but we're talking about being focused, and it's love that we want to have an impact, love what we want to speak into, love that we want to be part of people's lives. So other people have other parts of this masterpiece of the Creator. As a parent, for example, it's not like you only have so much love to give out, you know, and then you have more kids, and well, sorry for the latter ones, right? Because they don't get any. I ran out. Or is it that there's still more love? Again, the miracle of love. So maybe if we really think about giving the pieces of ourselves to others, and we start our focus as in we want to have a loving, positive impact on others and their lives, um, we really do find that we have plenty for ourselves and probably more. So, the pieces that you give out, okay, um, that's another thought as well. Uh, do we give out little tiny scratch shards, or do we give out our best? Do we hand away our best pieces? You know what I'm talking about, okay? How do we engage with life? How do we really put our best foot forward with others in mind, and maybe not just thinking about ourselves? Though maybe this isn't even brutal, but still an honest thought and an honest question. Um, if we could really flip our thought, really take that do unto others as we would have done unto us, in loving our neighbors as ourselves, do we really want to be a part of other people's lives, other people's pictures, other people's mosaic? Um, I think we really are so blind to things that sometimes we don't realize that our pieces are going out, whether they're given, stolen, copied. Parts of us are affecting people every day. It's not whether we realize it or not, it's more like it happens, like it or not. We are seen. And I'll argue, for the sake of this analogy, that our stained glass is seen too. Whether there is a light behind it or not, um, whatever condition it's in, people will see it. It's part of being in the world. We are seen and we see. Okay? Remember, though, we're also takers. So, how do we acquire? Um, maybe that's in, maybe it's how we live, right? Uh, do we live to share, or do we live to hoard? Um, do we take from others, or are we inclined to be a part of others' lives? Um, do we live such an engaged life that we just can't help but have folks around us? And then they become a part of us. They're giving of themselves, and us incorporating that into our lives. Sometimes that seems almost seamless, uh, that God just seems to make the parts fit. We incorporate folks into our picture, whether they're aware, whether they're really aware of it or not. That influence is still there. I have seen way too many stories about folks hanging around with the wrong crowd. Glass shards added, exchanged, stolen. Again, this is a mosaic, and a light shone through it will reveal it. So, how's that sit with you? Okay, now the stretch thought that our mosaic picture is part of a bigger picture. So, how do we see ourselves to be part of a bigger picture instead of being on our own, surrounded by fractured connections, disconnected dissonance? How do we go beyond that? This might actually be harder to explain than I think, um, but I want to give it a try. We submit our lives to God and to others to be of service to both, to agree to be a part of each other's lives in relationship. So here's a piece of beautiful stained glass, right? This is really a work of art. We really can see the complexity of the design, the color selections, even the texture of certain colors. Um, that peacock is just beautiful. And picking the little red berries out of the tree, it's truly a stunning picture. Um, so many varied sizes, so many varied shapes. Some pieces are really very small. Um, one could say a simpler color, the berries. But if it were not for those parts, this amazing artwork would be still missing those pieces. And those missing pieces, they would be noticed. Pieces missing. The picture might be attainable. We might grasp what we think the picture is, but is it all that it could be? All that it was intended? All that it was meant to be? So let's go back to the other beautifully stained glass window, but this time, let's zoom out. See a bit more. Now we see a larger view in all of its intended, shall we say, beauty. Okay? Now here's the part I want to begin to stretch our thinking a bit. As you can see, there are different panels in this mosaic, pieces that make up the whole. Maybe a piece that, when it was initially put together, say one of the corners, and the pieces in it asked, I don't see a picture here. I don't see any purpose here. I don't see how this is part of something greater. Yet, when you step back and see it, the upper and side panels blend the inner pieces together. They frame the other panels. Without them, the story is incomplete. So here's another very challenging thought. Our part, where we fit. Which panel are we in? We might never be able to fully grasp the moment when we were put into the mosaic. Or where? Yet, do you think, for instance, that the children of Israel, as they were enslaved in Egypt, led out in the Exodus, had an encounter with God at Mount Sinai, wandered 40 years in the wilderness before coming into the land that was promised to Abraham, their forefather. That they saw the picture or even realized that they're broken shards of glass, those very real lives, saw themselves in a greater picture? I'll hedge my bet that they did not. Um, they did not see that their individual lives would make up the amazing story of promise, of rescue, of redemption, and a covenant fulfilled. Those glass shards, cracked, broken, dirty, tired, scared. Would they ever be more? Any mosaic that God is a part of is so amazing. We cannot really even begin to grasp that complexity of what it takes to bring those broken shards together. Those lives that we don't even realize we've affected. Those are real people that we encounter, right? And they're not even aware of the exchange. We're not aware of the exchange. But still, what do we give? What do we take? What parts do we share? What parts do we incorporate into our part of the mosaic? Are we willing to surrender our design control and give it to God? Are we willing to say, hey, I don't get it. I might not see it. And it might not be seen fully in my lifetime. And yet, I'm willing to still be a part of this time, this place, and engage in this community to share my shards, my best shards, and believe that God's mosaic will play out. It took 83 years to build the stained glass artwork that adorn the Washington National Cathedral walls. Okay. And I'd be willing to bet that more than one worker on that project never did see the end. They did not see the final masterpiece. Yet today, we have the privilege of viewing their lives work, their effort expressed. We are all but branches. We're all connected, yet part of a greater design. Again, are we willing to submit to serve both God and our brothers? To put them forward, to be excited to not only incorporate their colors, their hues and textures in our part, in our lives, but also to be willing and want to be part of somebody else's design. And maybe even be willing to say, that's not what I expected. But it is what it is. And I'm a part of that. From the encounter at the grocery store, the gas station, the park, our church. We are constantly, whether we realize it or not, becoming part of something greater. I believe that Jesus, right, that Yeshua talked about this, the love, the sharing of shards, We're all broken. We're all broken people. That's not a big stretch. Okay. But the mosaic of the life and times of Jesus is filled with broken people, broken shards. And then he puts them together. He brings their brokenness. He even heals, cleans, polishes cracks, adds them to his story. This awe-inspiring mosaic of the Messiah in his time. That leper, that blind man, that broken woman, they only saw broken shards. Jesus saw more. Yeshua smiled and he said, "That's just the color I need. It's just the hue I was looking for." Peter's texture, that was like none other, right? All broken, all apart, same as we are. Today, in our time, in our place, our mosaic is being created for others to see behind us. Others to ask the questions to ponder, probably over coffee and hopefully donuts. So, yes, a point to ponder. God's light, his sun shines through, revealing those seemingly random connected pieces, those like but different colors, hues, textures, all connecting in a grander way, a way that we, if we stay too close, we can miss so much. But if we stay focused on only our part and our colors, that we might miss the connectedness of those parts as they radiate out. That grand mosaic as it develops. Those parts that we cannot and probably could not have seen, but yet they are also a part of the grand mosaic. When we look at our part and we get confused because we can't see how this will ever be part of anything. How can I be significant? Does my part, my contribution, my connectedness, my life, does it really affect anything? And then you see the mosaic and you see that every little part is very much a contributor, a vital part of the grand mosaic. I will leave you with this beautiful capture of the Washington National Cathedral by Collin Winterbottom.